What is up, Star Seeds? I'm Sid, and today we are going to be talking about naming stars. I think the best way to understand this is to look at my handy dandy little whiteboard here. I drew some examples of the constellation Lyra. So we have the proper names for stars: Vega, Shalayek, Seliphat, Eldafar, and Alethfar. The Bayer designation section right here with the alpha for Vega, beta for Shalayek, gamma for Seliphat, epsilon for doesn't really have a name in this chart, zeta for doesn't really have a name in this chart, eta for Eldafar, and we've got other Greek letters, theta, kappa, and then mu is Alethfar. Then down at the bottom we have the Flamsteed number for these stars as well. We start from the west side, which is the right side. These other stars, Kappa, which I didn't list a name for, is 1, and then we have 2, which is Alethfar, 3 is Vega, 4 and 5, because Epsilon is a multi-star system, but it's so close together, we just call it Epsilon. It's 4 and 5, and then Zeta is actually a multi-star system, 6 and 7. Then we have 8 and 9, which is this new. 10 is Shalayek, the beta Lyra. 11 and 12 is a part of this Delta star system. 13 is this Phi star up here. 14 is Gamma, which is Seliphat. 15 is down here, doesn't have a name, the Lambda. 16 and 17 I didn't even put on here, but they're in this kind of range. 18 is here, this Iota, and then 19 I didn't put on here. 20 is Eldafar, it's the Eta, and then 21 is this theta. I just wanted to show you guys this first because this is going to make the difference between the proper names, the Bayer designation, and the Flamsteed number so much easier. I do have little examples down here, like this example from Lyra. Vega is Alpha Lyrae, is 3 Lyrae, because it's the third one from the west. That's what the Flamsteed number really is from right to left, from west to east, the numbers in order. It's very simple. The Bayer designation is not as simple as that. It is in order of apparent brightness. So Vega is the brightest star in Lyra, so it is Alpha. But in the constellation Orion, we have this example here with Rigel. Rigel is actually Beta Orionis. It's the second apparent magnitude, but it is actually the brightest star, which now we know that. Betelgeuse is listed as Alpha Orionis, but really Rigel is brighter. So Rigel is Beta Orionis, is 19 Orionis because it's the 19th star from the west side from the right if you're labeling all of the stars, and Betelgeuse is like 58 because it's over there on the left side, on more of the east side. Now, the reason we have these different ways to label or name stars is because, well, one, the brightest stars should have a popular name that we know. Sirius, Vega, Rigel, Procyon, Antares, Arcturus, they should have a name, so they do. Then in 1603, Johann Bayer kind of came up with this Bayer designation. He originally made a list of 1,564 stars that were assigned a Bayer letter, I call it, because it's a Greek letter, obviously. There's 24 letters in the Greek alphabet, ranging from alpha all the way to omega. Shout out Machine Gun Kelly, Alpha Omega. But the Greek alphabet has been used from 800 BC to the present day still. We still use it. Mainly it's in like sororities and fraternities, but it's also in astronomy for this Bayer lettering system. Johann Bayer's star atlas, the Uranometria, literally means measuring the heavens, derived from like the Greek sky heaven word Uranos, and metron, which is measure. So Uranometria means measuring the heavens, which I love that name, beautiful name. Johann Bayer was a German astronomer, and he made this list of all of these stars, 1,564, in the year 1603. So we have been using this ever since, and this is still, in my opinion, probably the most popular way to name stars, but these different things have different uses. Obviously, the proper name for the most well-known stars we know, but if we don't have a name, I think the BAYER designation is the next thing that we resort to. The apparent brightness, the apparent magnitude, but it's not always, because now we have more advanced technology. We can really see what's brighter now. It is usually correct, but not always. It's kind of ironic that Johann Bayer named his star atlas this name that sounds so much so like Uranus, the planet, even though Uranus wasn't discovered yet. And Flamsteed, John Flamsteed, was actually the first one to really write down this observation of Uranus in 1690, but he didn't recognize it as a planet. He entered it into his catalog as a star called 34 Tauri, like the Taurus constellation. Obviously, these early astronomers made a couple mistakes, but that was really just building the base foundation of astronomy. That is how you get to what we know now. We needed 34 Tauri to realize that that is in fact a planet called Uranus now. And I also want to point out, I've done other videos on like the ancient 48 constellations and the modern 88. Johann Bayer used Ptolemy's Almagest, used the ancient 48 constellations in his work to make his star catalog. Okay, everybody in history used the previous trailblazers before them to develop their work, to perfect it, to progress it. That is how we do everything. So John Flamsteed, he has an interesting story and some beef with Isaac Newton. Edmund Halley, like the Halley's Comet, and Isaac Newton actually published John Flamsteed's work, the Historia Coelestis Britannica, in 1712 without Flamsteed's approval. The final version of Flamsteed's catalog was published in 1725 after he died. The Flamsteed numbers that are now in use were actually assigned by a French astronomer, Joseph Jerome de Lalande, which appeared in the 1783 almanac. I'm not even going to try to say the name, which was a revised edition of Flamsteed's catalog. So Flamsteed cataloged all of these stars. Isaac Newton and Edmund Halley published it without his approval. They really wanted his work, and he was like, I'm not done perfecting it. He was a workaholic. He wanted it to be perfect, but he was a royal astronomer appointed by royalty. One of the King Charles or something appointed Flamsteed to be a royal astronomer. And so because of that, he was basically like a government employee. He had to hand over his work and have Newton and Halley publish it without his approval. After he died a few years later, other astronomers and his wife helped to kind of turn his work into the perfected version, hopefully, that he would be proud that is published now. Flamsteed's own work didn't actually include Flamsteed numbers. It's just named after him because it was his work that later allowed other astronomers to put numbers to certain stars because of these stars that he cataloged. The Uranographia Britannica was published by John Belvis in 1748, and that was another star atlas that was based off of this previous work. Long story short, I would like to say that the proper name or nicknames for stars, like how Polaris is called the North Star, or Antares is called the Heart of the Scorpion, Regulus is called the Heart of the Lion. I feel like Regulus is a more popular name for it though. Polaris often gets called the North Star more than it gets called Polaris. But these proper names, these nicknames, those are the most useful when talking about well-known stars. When it's not a well-known star, it doesn't have a great name for it, then the alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, those come in handy. The BAYER letters, the BAYER designations for these stars. But when the magnitude is not very clear, when there's not a BAYER designation for it, then the Flamsteed numbers, the Flamsteed designation works really well. And in my opinion, that is such a good way to just list out the stars from, one side of the paper to the other. Which one is the closest to the west? Okay, that's one. We're just gonna go in order. And it also is really nice when you're trying to draw out a constellation and you're like, is this star more to the right or left of this one, when they're, you know, on opposite kind of ends, north and south of the constellation. That will tell you scientifically which one is closer to what side, so you know how to draw it more precisely as well. But especially these constellations like the Eridanus River, Orion even, Sagittarius, there's so many stars in those constellations, that really comes in handy. Let me know what you guys think of this video in the comments down below. And if you are interested in getting an intuitive and astrological Akashic record reading from me, please email me, sydalexandriaegypt@gmail.com. My website is actually coming soon. I am actually going to post it finally in these next few weeks, so stay on the lookout for that. If you would like to book a reading, once I post my website, it is going to be through the website, but for now you can still email me. You guys can always email me and hit me up and ask questions, ask inquiries, but I might send you my website link and say, if you want to book a session, book it through there. Just a heads up. I appreciate you guys so much. Peace out.